all HDBs are good HDBs. So
So welcome back to another episode of the Backholder Pod. So today with me, it's the same old people, Chiking, Kelvin, Eric, and Bunti. So I think before we begin, I would just like to put out a disclaimer. And we know that especially in current times, in Singapore especially, there are a lot of new couples that are trying to ballot for their BTO and ballot for HDB flats. And there are many commotions around the entire topic. So we would just like to put it out there, saying that it's essentially just a platform for us to kind of discuss our viewpoints and also to share what we think and from the different perspectives, because there is a wide range of different personalities and different people from different age groups. So we hope to kind of provide a more holistic experience and holistic viewpoints. But with that in mind, I think I just wanted to dive deeper into today's topic, which is speaking about this entire HDB issue currently in Singapore. So this entire discussion was actually sparked off by a comment by this renowned architect and housing policy expert, Professor Tay, and he has essentially expressed concern over Singapore's public housing policy. So I think he actually spoke at a town hall meeting organized by Workers Made Possible on 9th of April. And he said that, and I quote, "The greatest mistake that was made by the government was to sell the idea to the people, to the population, about asset enhancement. That is really an opiate in which people got drugged, and in the process has weakened the entire society." So I think without going too much into the details, maybe you can get Kelvin to kind of respond on what you think, what Professor Tay has said, whether is there any value or is there any legitimacy in terms of his comments and statement.
yeah, so he said a few things. So first is Singapore has that 99 years lifespan, so it's called the ballast curve. After that 99 years, HDBs will theoretically worth zero. So that's the first thing. Then he said that HDBs, because the value of HDBs is the price of HDBs is going up nowadays. So people who buy HDBs now are entering into a debt trap so of 25 to 30 years, and they are like dumping their entire life savings into the flats that will after 99 years depreciate to zero. So then he said that now the government is at a dilemma should they control the HDB price? So if they control, this means that old folks, people who are depending on HDBs to retire, they will sort of lose their income because they were planning to sell off their HDBs and downgrade to a cheaper HDB But now if the government is going to control that price, that means they have lost that income source Then on the other hand, if they don't control, things are going to become more and more expensive. So the new home buyers are getting unable to afford the HDBs So the government do either way also die. So he said that that's why this whole HDB now is becoming a big mistake because the government is not controlling the price too much. There's that whole asset enhancement thing going on. But I want to hear what's Eric's view about this.
My view?
As an HDB owner yourself.
Actually, I think before Eric answer, I wanted to get your idea on how do you read this idea of asset enhancement? Like, what does it mean, or what's the definition of asset enhancement for you as a HDB owner or somebody that have already bought, like buy finish ready?
Okay, sorry. I think my camera is out of focus. Damn the DSLR. Okay. Anyway, what was your question again? Like asset enhancement, what is my view of it?
What's your view of this entire policy and how they sell the idea to Singaporeans?
Actually, I was never really very bought into this asset enhancement thing. I'm not really sure like what it does for me. I just buy the HDB because I need a place to stay. So that was my original thought. I mean, I didn't give it much thought like, this house is going to make me a lot of money. The moment you buy a HDB, I don't think you can expect to make a lot of money. I think that's but I think generally speaking, Singaporeans do have some baseline expectation because most of us seen our parents, right, when they hold on to the HDB, like 20, 30 years, those kind of thing, they make like 5-6 times on their home purchase. So when you grow up in that kind of a scenario, right, you kind of also have the personal expectation that, if I buy now, if I stay until I'm old, my flat will also be 5-6 times the price, which I think is currently panning out somewhat. Like I've stayed in my this HDB, right, for maybe about 7 years. They're about 7 years, not nearly 20 lah. It's 7 years only. It went up, I think, about 30%. So if we extrapolate that, right, 20 years time, you will probably double lah. Not nearly as crazy as my parents, because I bought a resale ma. My parents bought it direct from HDB, and yeah, so I think probably people will expect every 10 years to double or so. Yeah, but that I think is a little bit of a unrealistic expectation. If you expect the HDB to double every 10 years, right, means that every 20 years is how many times, Chiking?
Every 20 years.
Is 4 times, right?
I mean times 2 times 4 lah. Yeah.
4 times, right? So is that a little bit unrealistic, right? Now HDB is going for like 500K minimally.
Right.
Average, I think about 500K for a 4-bedroom, right? They were surveying. I think Kelvin will know about 500 plus K. So if you're saying like 4 times, right? In what, 10 years, 20 years, that's like what, 1 million minimally, no matter where in Singapore.
Then on that note, right, like I think circling back to Kelvin's question to you, like now essentially the government is kind of stuck in a rock and a hard place, right? They don't really know whether are they supposed to control the pricing of the HDB, and it's essentially a balancing act between those people that already currently owns a HDB and wishes to retire on that note, or those that are newcomers, new couples trying to buy a new flat.
Chiking,
so like, what's your entire view?
Is that your assumption that the government don't know what to do?
No. I didn't say that. I think you were putting words in my mouth.
You just did. We recorded this. You go and listen to it.
Right. They don't really know whether are they supposed to control the pricing of the HDB and.
You say the government don't really know what to do.
Actually, I think that was I'll kind of paraphrase though, but okay, sure. If that's the assumption.
Okay, so you're assuming that the government
Yeah.
currently don't know what to do lah.
Or I think I'll flip it around and ask you that what would you do if you're the government today?
If I'm the government,
Yeah, or if you're in charge of HDB policy. Let's not say you're the government. Let's not get it too sensitive. Let's just say that you're in charge of HDB today.
If I'm in charge of HDB, basically I'm of the camp that HDB should be affordable housing for the masses. It's not so much like must keep pace with the private property, because we know private property, they are like free market ma. So foreigners can come in, PRs can buy, etc., all the resale, right? So they beat up the prices, everything. That part, free market wise, we have not much control. But what government have control is we have control of like the one that is straight from HDB. So if I'm not wrong, I think the one that you can buy direct from HDB is only Citizen, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. I think only Citizen can buy direct from HDB. PRs have to buy resale. So if you're selling to citizens, right, I think we probably should, if I'm in charge of HDB, which I'm not lah, but if I am, I will I would basically do what they are doing now, because they are giving those grants, right? They're giving a lot of grants for people who their salary is not able to support, giving them a one-time 40K, 80K, if their annual salary is below a certain amount combined. So in that sense, we are helping them, but we are also not manipulating the market, so-called. We're just topping up for them so that they are able to get a house for their own. So in a sense, I think that is what I would do as well. Like just giving the grants to help the new families, the newlyweds, to get a property lah. I mean, if next time you choose to get a property, right, like you as in Chiking, right, I think you will get quite a bit of help also, because when you're just starting out, your pay isn't that high. Yeah, so you would probably be eligible for a lot of grants.
So on that note, like, what's Bunti's perspective on this entire enhancement scheme?
I don't know about this term enhancement. I'm thinking like this call it HDB or BTO, right? Because I don't think it's assets that allow us to get rich. It's really, I mean, the purpose is really just to make sure everyone have a roof on top of their head. So let's say if you buy a house about around 30 years old or 40 years old, and then you stay on, and although we say that it's limited, right? You can't really, it's not a freehold, right? But it's enough for you to stay until you are old. I think that's the intended purpose. And if you want to monetize it, I think, yes, maybe when you are old and your children move out, you can rent out the rooms and you can monetize the rooms, but it's not for you to like, okay, cash out and become rich from HDB. It's really accommodations for the people. So I don't know. I think the expectation is a bit wrong. If you expect that I buy this, I need to get rich from this, right? I don't think it's a lottery, you know.
Right. So I think from Prof. Tay's comment that I kind of narrated just now, that was essentially his argument that he asserted. So he's essentially saying that I think from the very early stages of HDB development and the nation building process itself, the government essentially, I mean, he insinuated that the government was trying to sell or package the idea of HDB, saying that there is kind of like a air quotes guarantee, but nobody's guaranteeing that. It's just that how they package and sell it. But I think there was this very interesting topic I wanted to touch on, like what Kelvin said, right? About this idea of debt trap. So it's in the same article. I think we will leave the link to the comments in the link in the description later on. And one thing below the description is also the like button. So don't forget to gently hit on that cute little like button. But I think to circle back on this idea of a debt cycle, right? He did assert that young people are currently entering the property market, are essentially trapped in a debt cycle. And they cannot take entrepreneurial ventures because they have to pay off their mortgages. And because of this fixed payment of the mortgages, they are kind of bogged down and they don't really dare to take risks. So I think as a business owner now for both Eric and Kelvin, I want to hear your perspective. Or maybe for Kelvin, because Kelvin, I'm not too sure whether you paid off your mortgage yet, but has it been bogging you down? Do you think that a mortgage is a pain in the ass, or beep it out? But yeah, has it prevented you from your entrepreneurial ventures?
Okay, for that part, I think okay, in my case, it didn't bog down my entrepreneur spirit. I also feel that because a while ago, I did that whole HDB video. Is HDB becoming too expensive for Singaporeans video? And even after doing that video, I realized that HDB is still affordable. So when I see what's affordable, what's not affordable, okay, let me share my screen. Can oh,
Can see.
Yeah, so this curve line up down is called is the Singapore average money wages. This chart was done by Property Lim Brothers not sponsored by them. Then the blue line is Singapore Residential Price Index. They are trying to see what's the PE ratio of the house So if the black line is lower than the blue line, this means that housing is considered cheap. You can sort of your money wages, you can sort of buy the house So now in the past 3-4 years, the black line, so the money wages has gone above the property price index No. The property price index has increased much faster than the money wages. So people are saying that their income is not keeping up with the housing price That's why they are saying things are getting more and more expensive now. So that's the first thing. The PE ratio is getting more and more higher But then when I dig further, right, Singapore, when compared to other big cities, is actually not that expensive. So for example here, this is the average housing price per unit. Singapore HDB is around average about 340k, I don't know. Yeah. Then if it's compared to other big cities like Shanghai, Beijing, Shenzhen, everything, even for Hong Kong, especially Hong Kong, everything is higher than Singapore. So when we compare, relatively speaking, to other big cities, Singapore is still considered cheap. The only reason everyone think that housing price is getting expensive is just because of the whole COVID thing, that the whole housing price increased much faster than the money wage. Then another thing is PE ratio for the housing price People think that it's becoming expensive. But as to whether it bogged down my entrepreneur spirit, basically people who are, I think it's more like people are trying to buy nice house at higher stories at near MRTs. Then they can't afford it. Then they say that HDBs on overall are getting more and more expensive. But if you go further away, like 3-4 bus stops away, you can actually afford the HDBs there. Nothing wrong with that. All HDBs are good HDBs. So
Hey guys, you know what?
What? Your stock 10x
Not yet but Webull is now giving out free shares when you sign up.
Yeah, the brokers also giving out free shares.
But Webull is different For Webull, you just need to fund any amount to get up to 5 free shares for now.
Wow, any amount.
Yes, any amount. Just fund $1 also can. Then you'll get up to 5 free stocks worth up to $500 there.
我死了咯。
So if you haven't signed up to Weibo yet, you can sign up using the link down below.
What lah? So that's my thought. It's like, and people say, oh, Singapore is so small, we can't escape for the high prices. You can, well, you just walk extra 1 km, then you can afford the house there already. It's just you find it a bit more inconvenient lah, that's all. Lor. So my case is that it's unaffordable if you are trying to aim for expensive HDBs lah. But if you are buying within your means, everything is affordable lah, I feel. Yeah.
Actually, Kelvin, can I just ask a kind of like a side private question, right? Like before you actually entered into or wanted to go and do your own thing and just basically not stop taking a paycheck or stop taking a salary, right? How much do you actually set aside though in terms of your like when you jump into starting your own business? That you know that, yeah, like you know, okay, chop 6 months, 1 year, I know income, I also can pay down all my liabilities.
Technically I didn't set aside lah. It's more like it's more like my savings rate is so high that the money keeps coming in, and my burn rate is very low. So I don't really say that I want to have 6 months because I already exceeded 6 months like 10 years ago already.
Right. Okay.
And I'm slowly DCing so those money that I'm not using for investment, I'm just putting it aside. I don't say like, oh, I have this 6 months thing because I already hit it so long ago that I don't even keep track of that amount anymore. Yeah. But
okay,
yeah, as long as I have at least 6 months, 12 months, I'm considered safe lah.
Right. I think the key here, actually the tip or the secret here is maintaining a low burn rate. It's the lifestyle inflation thing that kind of creeps up to you. But I think back to Eric on your own personal entrepreneurship journey, has it been an issue? Or maybe I think you actually also drive a car, right? Like have all these like separate payments or like monthly liabilities that you cash outflows has blocked down or make you, you know, at the back of your mind, sing yang, whether should I take more risks or that kind of things because you have ongoing payment that ongoing liability.
Wait, I don't understand your question. You're saying that because I have all these liabilities,
you don't dare to take more risks. You don't dare to expand bigger, faster. You are more hedged in terms of your risk taking profile. Like you want to play it safer lah, in a way, because that's basically what the Prof Tay was arguing.
Personally, do you think that I'm playing it safe?
I mean,
what do you think? Like you know me for some time, you think I'm playing it safe?
Actually, that's a good question. I haven't really think about it though. This I wanted to ask your perspective on whether you think you're playing it safe or not.
Yeah, I don't think I'm playing it super duper safe. I am how do I put it? Basically, I've been thinking these few days about how I actually started on my journey, right? When I first opened my tuition center, because sometimes I do think about like, are people interested in how I actually start my journey? Then I think, maybe not. But yeah, these few days I've been thinking about it because I saw a video that said that, hey, people are actually interested in how you may have started out. So long story short, right, when I first started out, I was kind of forced into it because I was like a normal school teacher. Like I just like to take my monthly pay on the 12th every month. Like, wow, you know, my performance bonus, then that mid-year bonus, end of the year bonus, then that got connect plan some more. Wow, very happy. Every year just sit down there and take money. So very safe, secure, stable, that's what you call it. Then obviously, for some reason, my backside itchy, right? Then I went to quit my job. Then I went to become a stockbroker for 3 years. Then I realized that I'm not really a very good salesman. I can't really sell anything. People ask me, auntie ask me, hey, Eric, can buy or not? Then I say, if I were you, I won't buy lah. Then the auntie, hey, she never buy. Then I also never make commission. Then, you know, at the end of the day, I can't really survive on that the commissions. Every month is about 2K. Cannot survive. Even about 10 plus years ago, couldn't really survive. So, yeah. So in the end, what happened? I went back to school to teach, but I was on contract because MOE already has enough teachers. So I was on an annual contract until like my school decide to merge, MOE decide to merge the JCs, right? Remember? So my school was one of those 8 that was merged into 4. And then my principal told me, oh, Eric, you have to start looking for a job outside because I cannot offer you the contract anymore. Yeah, so the good thing is she gave me a very long heads up, like about 9 months in advance. Literally saying when they merge, then I have to go. So that was about 9 months runway. So that time I was like thinking to get another job. Then I told my wife, hey, I want to go and get another job, like to be a hostel manager. I still remember
That's so
was-
different in terms of skill set.
yeah,
is it
she
not?
was super upset. Say, because that time she was about to give birth already. Then say, wow, you go and be this hostel manager, making 4K a month, you think can support a family? So she was very upset at that time. Then somehow this opportunity came along. I don't know whether this is taking too long. If it's too long, you all just cut it out. Then I have this friend, right, who's a center owner. He said that, hey, why don't you come? I have this other tutor who's looking to upgrade to a bigger size unit. So the small one, right, just below the escalator, you take, you know, the escalator, right? Underneath is like Harry Potter space like that. A very small room can only sit like 5-6 people. So I went to take up that unit. Before that, I was very scared. I said, wow, I have to pay rental, huh? How much? $1,100 a month. 1,001. And I was super scared. I was like, oh no, what if I don't have the money? What if I'm no student? Then every month I have to pay 1,001. And then I have no income. So I was very worried. Then my friend said, hey, don't BLP. Please have some guts. Only 5 months the rental. So I said, even if it fails, it's just 5,500, right? That's all the risk that you're assuming. So I thought about it. I like, okay lah, 豁出去. So I signed the rental, took over the space. So yeah lah, it happened to take off lah. So I have like 9 students in my first year.
This idea is to really understand whether all these payments has any impact in terms of how you look at risk and how you take into account the risk in your own personal life. So I think actually just from Eric's and Kelvin's story, right, you can see a common denominator where they are both kind of still quite prepared in terms of before taking on risk. And if you don't continue trying to push for the biggest mortgage that you can qualify and try to get the best location and stuff like that, I think generally speaking, I think your risk appetite should still be at a pretty healthy and pretty suitable range for you to take on additional risk in the future. So I think on Bunti's end, after, like, if you look at both of their stories, right, then personally for you, do you yourself have any entrepreneurial like ambitions? That's the first part. And then on the second part, I think on the HDB nest egg thing, right, I wanted to push back a little bit because okay, maybe you answer the first question first, then I'll follow up with the second one.
Okay, now my turn. I think I'm different compared to Eric and Kelvin in the sense of I don't have entrepreneurship spirit from the beginning. So it's like it's not like I'm giving up my my dream or anything, and then just because of the house and mortgage. But I can give some background on the housing because I bought my house. Just now when Kelvin showed the chart showing the price index, right, I was looking at the bottom there. It's at about 2018. That was actually when I bought my my HDB unit now. So although on the stock market still not much profit, but at least on the HDB good profit so far. But just for context, right, I didn't buy like a very expensive HDB. It's just less than 400,000. So I'm like quite concerned with like taking out too much liability there. So I try to keep it low, and that's why it's very far away from the city center. But I'm okay with the commit. Like Kelvin said, you have to give up something, right? Like either far from the city or slightly further from the MRT station or slightly smaller unit. Mine is not a very small unit; it's a 5-room. But in terms of distance, I can take a further from the city, so I get a good deal. Yeah.
Actually, it's quite interesting though, because you guys keep talking about like location and trying to hit like being comfortable with the price point and not to take up so much liability, right? Actually, even in my circle of friends, right, like I actually do have friends that already BTO. Yeah, and some of them already have kind of air quotes taken up liability and go to HDB office and then take that official photo and then post on Instagram story, that kind of thing, right? So actually, from that perspective, I've constantly been hearing that, oh, everybody is discussing, wow, this property, let's say now, just to give you an example, like let's say a friend take up a $700,000 mortgage at one of the core region, and then they're gonna say that, oh, they're gonna flip it and it's gonna turn 1 million after the 10-year NOP. Like everybody already have the expectation baked in that after the MOP period, whether is it 5-year, 10-year, or wherever, they're gonna flip it by a huge extent. And then it goes into the idea where it's basically a 报价 lottery ticket, meaning you buy already, you go in, you confirm, earn money. I mean, that's the current assumption, which is why it's quite surprising when I hear the three of you, when you talk about buying a HDB, you really come from the perspective that I just want a shelter, I just want a place, an affordable place to stay. While on the other hand, like youngsters nowadays, there is this disconnect in terms of how they look at the current HDB policy though. So maybe do you guys have any opinions on this, on why is there this disparity, on why youngsters think that it's supposed to be like that?
Actually, can I just add a little bit of perspective on that?
Sure.
For the young folks, right, I think they may have this idea of FOMO because of all the property price keep going up, right? You think that, buy this before the prices go up any further and I'm priced out of the market. So I think it doesn't help that the lead times for the new BTOs are pretty long, right? From what I heard, it's like what, 5 years or 6 years?
Yeah, around there.
That ballpark. So it's like, if you are looking to get married, settle down, right? By the time you chop stamp and confirm, right? Let's say you want to part tour, like, want to make sure that she's the one or whatnot, right? By the time you confirm already, you're like maybe 28, 29. Then you go for the BTO new one, you wait for another 5-6 years. By the time your babies already pop out already, then how? Still staying with your parents? So it's like so I don't blame them for having a little bit of FOMO, especially those that don't think they want to stay with parents. Like they probably want to,先apply first. What if, by the time we chop stamp confirm, then we apply, it's too late. So you can understand why unless you can shorten down the time to about maybe 2-3 years, that will be more reasonable, right?
I think in terms of the lead time part, the government has been, I think Minister Desmond has been talking about them trying to ramp up the process, the pipeline of new projects and stuff like that. So I think that's in the works. I think now, circling back to this expectation thing, which again ties back to what Prof. Tay has to say, this entire discussion around asset enhancement strategy and how they sell the thing. It might not be an overt strategy by the government, but it does seem like it kind of sink quite deep into the people that at least I have talked to. At least actually, I don't want to say 100%, but to be very honest, like 100% of the people that I reach out, it's a small sample size, by the way, because I don't really have a lot of friends that are getting married. But anyway, like it's a small sample size, but it seems like 100% of the people that I talk to all have this kind of expectations baked into it. I think just now, Bunti, you wanted to unmute, right? Do you have an opinion on this?
No, I think just a slightly different perspective, because at the beginning we are talking as if we are like, what will we do if we are the government? So what are the government intention? What is this policy for? And so on and so forth, right? But then I think now you try to shift a little bit, is talking about the perspective from the buyer. And it's true, like let's say a youngster like you going BTO and so on, you can get some grants and so on. After you get all these grants, it's a bit like you get free money. So you get that free money after waiting 5 years or 10 years, you sell, then you get another tranche of free money. I think this is really, it's legal. You can do that. No wrong with that, right? And also sometimes people will talk about things in how to say, they bought already. They say, okay, what I bought at this price and then I sell at this price. So I just profit the don't know how many 100,000s, right? But you have to consider that there's like waiting periods of few years. Just inflation only, like let's say 4 or 5% inflation per year, you just roll it for 5 to 10 years. It's almost guaranteed, not because of it is a good investment, but it's because like everything get more expensive over time, right? Yeah, I mean, it just I won't be surprised people think like that. There's some legit. It's legit. It's just that how to say, different perspective. Yeah.
I think also, largely speaking, Eric, you unmuted. You want to add on? Kelvin, you're unmuted also.
I'm sorry.
Right. Kelvin, you want to add something?
Oh, I just wanted to say, so I just went to check HDB's median resale price. It's a resale for the last quarter. So where I stay, Tampines, for 4-room flat, it costs about 540K lah. Then I went to use this number, punch into the the mortgage calculator, right? At this price at 4% interest rate, right, you are paying about 2,008 monthly repayment. Then you go and divide that by 2 lah, 1,004 per person lah. This doesn't include any grant. So 540K without any grant. Every month you are paying about 1,004 in mortgage. So that Professor Tay, he says that if you are paying 1,004 a month, you are entering into a debt trap and you are not, and you are it hinders your entrepreneur spirit lah. In that case, my question is, if you can't afford a 540K, how come you are going? Yeah, how come you are going for that expensive HDB? And if 1,004, if you can't even afford 1,004 money repayment, it either means you are too greedy when you are choosing your HDB lah, or you are staying in your job for too long. In that case, try to upgrade your job lor. So I don't think it's a big issue, especially if you are working, right? Then you have CPF payment from your employer. That's 17% coming in there. So your employer is covering a huge part of your money repayment already. So I don't know. This part I strongly disagree with Professor Taylor, because I don't see how this can hinder how this 1,004 can hinder my entrepreneurial spirit, especially if I'm using it to pay through my HDB, through my CPF and not my cash, because CPF money is technically not my money. I use 60 plus because I can't touch it. I don't consider it as my part of my net worth lah. So this money I am okay to use it to pay for HDB. So yeah, I don't think it impacts my net worth in any way lah. But what was the question? The question is
No question.
why are they treating it as lottery? I think for people who have HDBs already, they have already given up on this lottery dream, right? For people who are still waiting to buy HDB like Chicken, you still have hope to get a BTO.
How you know he want HDB?
Because for almost everyone
I want to stay with my parents. Why cannot? I want to maintain low burn rate.
For everyone I talk to, the thing that BTO is this lottery, because if you buy and you sell it within 5 years, after 5 years, it's almost guaranteed 20-30% kind of return in just 5 years. So that's good.
I would be careful to say this idea of guarantee, because a lot of people like to keep throwing around, like S&P 500 also say 8 to 10% annually. Bao jia one.
Historically speaking, future no idea, right? The government will just control the price, right?
Can I just add one more idea to what Kelvin was saying? Because he was saying like 1,004 shouldn't impact your entrepreneurial spirit, right? I 100% agree with what he said. And to be honest, right, if you have that drive to be an entrepreneur, which I didn't have, I was forced out. But if you have that drive, right, you have the passion, you want to set up something, you want to start a business or whatnot, right? If 1,400 can stop you, right, then you better don't be an entrepreneur. Because you need a whole lot more than that. Seriously, it's not about the resources that you have, it's about your resourcefulness. I learned this from iQuadrant. So it's never about like you have how much money, how much income and all that. Then you can be an entrepreneur, or you have rich parents. It's basically what's inside here. Yeah, you know people, you can make the connections, and people buy your ideas. If you have a great idea, say, hey, I know how to do this option trade, but do you have the capital? I can teach you. Then we split certain percentage, So ideas are the thing that is rare. It's never about the capital. So that's something that I want to add on to what Kelvin has said.
Actually, I think that's a very good roundup to the entire discussion on HDB. So for those of you who are interested, again, I'll leave the link in the description below. You can take a look at what Professor Tay has to say. But I think generally, the summary, the summarized version of our discussion is, I think you also have to kind of understand the profile of like the four speakers here, right? I mean, generally we are more, I mean, we also know that people that kind of tune into finance related podcasts have a huge boatload of money in like Tesla, Alibaba, or whatever stocks that you guys hold in your portfolio. You guys probably are quite financially literate, know how to read balance sheet, know what's a liability, what's an asset, and those kind of stuff. I mean, generally, you don't really know the technical definition. So I think if you know how to control your burn rate, if you are not living like crazily above your means, and you really have that entrepreneurship drive, like what Eric has to say, like what Eric described just now, then I think the world is your oyster, man. You should go out and try to live the best life that you can. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this entire discussion and tying up on this HDB topic. I know it's a highly contentious topic. If you guys have any question or anything, try to refrain from all capsing. Just write nicely. If it's long, we will try to reply as much as possible. And yeah, be kind in the comment section down below. Don't flame us on Hardware Zone, can already. If not, we'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.